Hey guys, so it is WIP update time where I show you the progress that I made on my projects this last month, February. First, a couple little bits to show. I filmed a Mirabilia collection video that will be up on my channel after this video goes up, probably. I'll put my vlog up and then this video and then that one. And I mentioned in it that I was currently bidding on an eBay auction for a Mirabilia, and I never win those. And I said in the video that I never win them, and then I won it. So I won the Dreamer, which is Mirabilia number 8. So that one is not in my collection video, but I do own it now, and I think it's beautiful. And yeah, I never win those. So mostly because I'm unwilling to pay a lot of money. Like, I set my maximum bid and then I don't move it. But I won this one, so that makes me happy. I placed a tiny order with 123 Stitch for some Krennic for Angel of Love. I purchased 2 more spools of gold. This is just the number 2 gold. And 1 more spool of the orange. This is number 27. It calls for, I think, a number 8 braid, but I'm just using a number 4 for both of my metallics. I think the coverage is fine. And I already had the number 4, so I just figured, I just figured I'd use that. For the record, I didn't work on Angel of Love last month. Did I? Yes, I did. I did work on Angel of Love last month, so I'll show you that. But for the record, so far I have used 2 complete spools of gold. I'm on my 3rd gold spool, and I have used 1 complete spool of the orange. So you do need a fair bit of metallic. I'm on my 2nd spool of orange. I don't know if I'm actually going to need that 3rd one I bought. The gold I will definitely need though, because there's a lot of gold outside of the skirt area, like in her cloak. Why don't I show you? Because it's the first thing I worked on in February. So, in February, I just got a text from my mother. In February, I completed the skirt of Angel of Love. So I have put in all of the crazy patchwork, quilted looking, non-beaded area of the skirt. You can see all my hand creases on this side. If you watch that video on how I stitch in hand, you know why I have those, because I roll everything up. And then I just started putting in the navy that's kind of around her. Like, you can see kind of the waves of it here. This is like her cloak or her coat or whatever she's wearing over top. Yeah, I'm really happy with how far I got on this. I wanted to finish out the skirt, and I did. And then I just spent a couple days doing that navy because it was such a nice change from all the color switching and craziness of the skirt. The coverage, actually, of that navy is not great. You can see the fabric through it a little bit, but I love this fabric. I talked about that in my vlog, and I think I've talked about it multiple times. This is Monaco, the Charles Craft 28 count Monaco in, I think it's the tea-dyed color. I love this fabric, so I don't care that you can see a little bit through the stitching. Actually, that bothers me less and less the more I stitch. I used to really not like it, being able to see the fabric through the stitching, but now, I don't know. I think it just adds a little something. Like, it's stitched, and it's stitched on fabric, and here's a little bit of the fabric. Like, no big deal. So, that is Angel of Love. I think I actually worked on my shadowing first, now that I'm thinking about it. My vlog will make everything clear. So, shadowing next. This is the Sparkling Swan mandala. And I stitched my first, I haven't looked at this in a while. Did I even finish it? I think I did. I stitched my first swan on Sparkling Swan. It's getting very big and awkward to show. You can see little swan at the top there. The first of 8 overall swans. I actually really enjoyed the swan. I was nervous to go back to my chatelaine because I hadn't really, I think a full month went by when I didn't touch it. And you know how you let something sit in your head and then you build it up in your head and then, you know, you just don't want to go back to it. That's what happened to me with this, but this is essentially just all cross stitching. There's a little bit, the eye is a specialty stitch and the beak is a bunch of specialty stitches, but I could do kind of the majority of this and it was like fairly easy counting. And it was just plain cross stitch, so not too bad to jump back in with. The back stitch on this though was a doozy. I really disliked back stitching this one, so much so that after I finished back stitching it, I just put the project away. I was like, done for this month, done for a while. And I think it's because there's like multiple colors in this one, obviously, like 7 or 8, and they're all very light cream colors. And then it's backstitched with like a kind of a gold, like a warm floss color. And the backstitching was really difficult to, it wasn't that it was difficult to see on the pattern, it was that because all of the stitches were essentially the same color, it was hard to track where the backstitching was supposed to go without doing like a whole bunch of counting. So I freely admit I guessed a lot of this middle part where the wing is. The good thing is there are a lot of quarter stitches in the wing, and that was kind of a good guide of like where the back stitching was supposed to lay on top of, but some of this stuff I was just lost and I was not willing to count every single white, off-white stitch to find the exact right spot to put my back stitch, so I just fudged a lot of that, but I think it looked fine. It looks like a wing, kind of. I mentioned in my vlog that I am going to alter this pattern a little bit. Not in like a humongous way, but I'm excited about it, and I'll say it here too because I'm sure there are people that don't watch the vlog. So on the pattern behind the swans, there is some black stitching. And I think it's for, if you're stitching it on a lighter fabric, it's to make the swans pop off of the lighter fabric because they're so light. But I was debating stitching it because this is black fabric and I didn't want to stitch a whole bunch of black on this linen, which I'm not the biggest fan of. And I understand that it adds like a little bit of dimension, but like probably not enough to justify doing it for me. So a long time ago, and I wish I could credit this person, I don't remember, it was like middle of last year, I mentioned that, I think, all the black, and I wasn't sure what to do about it. And they had said, well, you could do a lot of things. You could use variegated black or another color, like this is your opportunity to change something. And I was like, oh, duh. Like didn't even dawn on me because it's a chatelaine and why would I change anything? But I think what I'm gonna do, because I'm stitching it on black, and I don't wanna stitch all that black on black, is I'm gonna either pick a black metallic, which I have because I used it in red, Mirabilia's red, or I'm gonna pick like a pewter color or like maybe like a grayish blue color and put those stitches in that way in a either black or gray or like a cool blue color metallic around the swan so that it looks like they're sitting in water or at least in something kind of shimmery that's going to give a little more dimension than just like the black. But I haven't tested anything yet. I think I'm going to wait until I get the other swan in, the mirror image one. And then I will put some stitches in and pick what color I'm going to do. I'm really excited about that decision. So that is the chatelaine Sparkling Swan. The next thing I worked on were the book spines. I don't have an overall picture of this. I'm just going to show you the pattern, but from really far back. So it's a row of book spines, and then it says, books are both our luxuries and our daily bread. and it's from the Etsy shop, Hardcore Stitch Core. This is my Q-snap project. I am stitching this one on a Q-snap. This is my first time using a Q-snap. It has been kind of a learning curve, but also pretty great. And I moved the Q-snap this month. I put in this book, the green one here, and so I had to move my frame over so that I could work on this kind of left-hand side of the project, and it went really well. I have just a scrap piece of Aida underneath the clamp that's over top of stitching, and I don't know what's going on under there, but I'm sure it's fine. So I only have 2 more books to put in here, and they're like relatively skinny, like they're not nearly as big as this one. And I'm still toying with the idea of putting a metallic in as the filling pattern, but again, I'm not sure because it's going to be a lot of metallic, but we're a ways off from that. So those are the book spines on the Q-snap. And the last thing I worked on last month was Peacock Pinwheels by Tempting Tangles. So this is my 1/1 project for the month. I can only seem to work on one a month between this one and Quaker Game Board, but I put in quite a bit, and I really do like this project. It's so tiny. So that is Peacock Pinwheels. Since you saw it last time, I put in this entire bottom corner, this like purpley color, and this little bit, which will become a much larger part, and a few of the little letters over here. So yeah, this went pretty fast. Something I'm noticing, this is, I can't remember if I started this first or Quaker Game Board first, but those two, this is my first time doing 1/1. And I really like it, but I find that I have to make my stitches very, very loose. And I can see, and I'm just thinking about this because I'm thinking when I finish one of these and do my close-up, my super close-up video, you guys are going to see all my uneven stitches. They're not that bad. But like, I feel like that's something you have to anticipate, stitching full cross on like 1/1. There are going to be times when your stitch can slip behind the fabric, you know, and you have to, what I do in that case is I just remove it, like go back out through the hole I came in and just go in the opposite hole, and that usually fixes it. But even so, I find that I have to stitch really loosely, which is not a huge problem for me because I stitch in hand, so I can set my own tension, and I'm not used to a frame that keeps everything really tight. I'm curious to know, for those of you that do like a really tight tension, how do you find 1/1 stitching? Like people who are doing like their Mirabilia skin 1/1 on like a frame, is it really hard because the tension is tight? Because I found that I had to keep everything really loose for this. So that is Peacock Pinwheels. What I really want to work on right now is Lily of the Woods, which is my current Mirabilia. I think I will make that next in the rotation. I was going to keep working on Peacock Pinwheels a little bit, but I finished my floss last night. Not all of it, but just like the piece that I cut. So when you're stitching 1/1, I'm just using 1 ply of floss. So you cut a piece of thread and it has 6 ply, right? So I was like, oh, you know, I'll use this until it's gone, and I finished it last night. So I didn't really want to cut another piece. So I'm going to put that away and go back to Lily of the Woods, I think, next. That is what I'm most excited about. And that is it. This is kind of a short update. I had a really busy day, and I feel like I'm just like running through this because I don't have the luxury of like taking my time. And so anyways, sorry about that. But I have this coming weekend off, so I can do some filming. I don't know what to film. If you have anything that you would like me to make a video on, tell me in the comments and I will try to do it, because sometimes I have time to film, but I don't because I just have no idea what to film. So I have a Mirabilia collection video coming up, as I mentioned, and then it's wide open. It's all just wide open. So, thank you guys for watching. I hope you had a good stitchy month. I look forward to seeing all of your works in progress from last month, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!